Rockstar Games have removed a ton of features from GTA games over the years. I want to share with you what things we never got to experience that could have been. But not only that, we're going to be using mods to add them back to the game, and I'm going to be showcasing you what they would have looked like. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. GTA 3. In the PlayStation 2 version of the game, you can find player models of what appear to be buskers, people holding saxophones and drums. And this guy on YouTube managed to recover them and add them back to the game to show us what they might have looked like. I don't know why, but the PlayStation 2 version is the only version these guys exist within the code, so I guess Rockstar realized the mistake and then deleted them in later versions. One common misconception is that the elusive character you might have heard of called Darkel was removed from Grand Theft Auto 3 due to the September 11th attacks. Many still believe this to this day because Darkel was allegedly a crazy character who gave the player terror-related missions, which isn't actually true. However, one of Darkel's missions does remain within the game, which is now given by El Burrow, which does have the player using an ice cream truck as a bomb to blow up enemy gang members, but never innocent pedestrians. Besides that though, no missions involved the player blowing up a school bus or anything of the sort, which was rumoured in the GTA community at the time. Rockstar Games further commented on the matter, saying that it's a funny myth, but it just simply wasn't true. So who was Darkel? Darkel originally was just some crazy bum who lived in the train tunnel who would give Claude some pretty dumb and crazy missions that didn't really fit the scope of the game. Nothing about him was cut due to the attacks, or so they claim. Not much else is really known about Darkel though, but we do know that he does look like this thanks to a drawing scene where we can see Leslie Benzies sometime around 2001, and you can see Darkel's concept character art in the background. Let's move on to GTA Vice City, because this game has a lot more cut content, and a lot more content that I personally find most interesting. Gator Keys was going to be a brand new location within the game, of which the whereabouts are still unconfirmed exactly, but it appears that it would have been based on the Florida Keys and surrounding Everglades area. One cut mission found within the game files appears to show a phone conversation between Avery Carrington and Tommy Vercetti, where Avery would have asked Tommy to escort a representative of his construction company and make sure that he reached the Gator Keys safely to buy some land in the area. Now, the Keys is an instantly recognizable location, but of course in Vice City it would have been nowhere near this size. But seeing the Keys, or at least a bridge that led to a small island like the Keys, would have been really cool. But another cut location which ties directly into the Gator Keys and Avery Carrington is called Shady Acres. Now, Avery Carrington can be heard talking about Shady Acres on the in-game advertisements, boasting it to be one of the best high-class real estate areas in the state. Avery describes the area as a short drive out of town on some pristine wetlands away from the noise and uninvited diversity of the city, which implies that Shady Acres was not located in Vice City and again was some countryside areas in the surrounding state. If you wanted any more proof that the Everglades was going to be in Vice City, we can see this grass texture in the game files, which is literally called Everglades grass, which is left in there but not used anywhere in the game. But it's not just locations that were removed from GTA Vice City, we also have a range of really exciting weapons, which even by the standards of later titles like GTA San Andreas are quite innovative and creative. For example, one of these removed weapons is a taser, which likely would have acted as a melee weapon which would have stunned enemies and left them on the floor for a prolonged period. The next weapon was the nail gun, which is really cool and looks like something straight out of American Psycho. It would have been purchasable from various hardware stores across the map. You might be surprised to hear that this list of beta weapons also includes a grenade launcher, a silenced pistol, a Desert Eagle, and an AUG assault rifle, or an AUG. Really impressive stuff. Let's discuss someone named Mr. Moffat. He was intended to appear in a mission where Tommy Vercetti assisted him in evading the police. Leftover dialogue in the game files reveal a phone conversation between Mr. Moffat and Tommy. In this phone call, or unused dialogue shall we say, Mr. Moffat pleads with Tommy for his help, stating that he's escaped custody and he's being pursued. Tommy initially hesitates but eventually agrees to assist him. So this interaction suggests that maybe Mr. Moffat had previous ties to Tommy. Maybe it was something to do with Liberty City, or maybe he had something to do with his imprisonment. Although the mission was cut from the final release, that hasn't stopped modders from trying to recreate what could have been. Let's move on then to GTA San Andreas, which probably has the best beta content of them all. First of all, did you know that Rockstar Games originally planned to allow us to purchase furniture for our properties in GTA San Andreas? And this would have meant that you could decorate and customize your interior however you wanted, with no two properties being the same. But sadly, in the final build, all interiors are the same, and some even reuse the same interior. There's lines of code found within the game files that reference cheap, medium, and expensive furniture. There's also text in game for messages that would appear on screen, such as "Are you sure you want to purchase?" "Do you want to purchase a TV, sofa, etc, etc." But additionally, there is other strings of code revealing that there would have also been electrical appliance stores that we could also visit to purchase things like the TVs or the radios and music stations. Now, some of these appliance stores in game still seem to have a false door box attached to them. In this trailer, the safe house seems to have an interior with transparent windows, which allows us to look inside and see some furniture. Could this be a glimpse of what it was like when the furniture purchasing feature was still in the game? However, this mod adds back what it would have looked like, and it's really cool to see what could have been for this property. Now, one of these previews for San Andreas in the official PlayStation magazine, well, this magazine revealed that we actually had the ability at one point to hijack and take a ride on the trams in San Fierro. Now, in the final game, we can steal trains, we can drive trains, and we can even do train side missions. So it doesn't sound that far-fetched that maybe driving a tram would have also been something that was possible. But if you needed any more evidence that this was going to be a thing, you can actually hear in-game audio files of police dispatch radios basically claiming that the player is on board a tram.
Respond to a 1021 in Central Doherty. Suspect last seen in a tram.
So yeah, I guess at one point you could steal trams and drive them around. One of the most famous beta features of GTA San Andreas that I'm sure you're well aware of is the long-lost skateboard weapon. There is in-game files and even a heads-up icon which shows us what this would have looked like once it was obtained by CJ. So it looks like a skateboard would have existed as a melee weapon, but it wouldn't have just stopped there, because this thing also would have been rideable. I don't think we could have expected to see CJ doing kickflips or allowing us to grind on rails or anything, but we have no idea why Rockstar Games even decided to remove it in the first place. I guess the code wasn't really fully finished, but until we actually get some kind of beta version of the game leaked with the code intact, I guess we'll never know. Now, there's a handful of missions that were cut, and some of them rightfully so, because they don't quite fit the tone of the game anymore, but other missions are actually quite impressive, and it's a shame that we never got to see them. An example of one of these missions that was cut from the game that's actually pretty cool is a mission called The Truth Is Out There. This would have taken place after the mission Green Goo, and would have played somewhat of a conclusive ending part to the Truth's storyline. Because in the final game, the Truth steals Green Goo from Area 69, and there's pretty much no repercussions, and the government don't seem to hunt him down. But in the cut mission The Truth Is Out There, CJ would have to go and rescue the Truth and guard him to a destination while the FBI tried to take him down. This is also the mission where the removed FBI truck, which can be found in the game's files, would have been included. Another mission is called Impounded, which would have been another mission for Cesar Villalpando. It would have taken place after high stakes low rider, and CJ's car would then get towed. But before I let you listen to the audio from the cutscene, first of all, there's no animations or actual cutscene to watch. But secondly, after CJ discovers that his vehicle has been impounded, him and Caesar would then have to go to the local Los Santos police station in order to retrieve it.
So CJ, let's see your wheels.
They ain't nothing special, just, you know.
Chale, let Caesar work his magic. I'll make it special. Hey, where is it?
What the fuck?
I thought you said your ride was here.
Oh shit, it's been towed.
Oh my God.
No.
Damn, what's the matter with this city? They always towing people's shit.
Fuck, Holmes.
I didn't even hear. Did you hear?
No.
I was gonna hook your up, eh?
Damn, what they the secret car towing service? Damn!
Cálmase, Holmes. Don't worry, we can get it back. I know where the impound is. It's cool. Be back in a bit.
And you can't have a beta cut features video and include San Andreas without including this next one. Now you may know what I'm talking about already just from the tone of my voice. Yes, we're talking about hot coffee. Now, hot coffee was an extremely controversial cut feature in GTA San Andreas, where CJ could return back to a girlfriend's house where they would invite him in for a cup of coffee. Now in the final game, this can happen, but the camera moves and all you hear is some audio suggesting that activities may be happening inside the house. However, in the beta version of the game, and what was found in the game files, was that Rockstar Games actually intended to add mini-games where you would be basically doing mini-games that involve stuff in the bedroom. The player would have to press buttons on screen similar to the dancing mini-game in order to make this work, and I can't show you any footage of it for obvious reasons. There were some developer notes about this feature, which never was supposed to be seen by our eyes. And it turned out that Rockstar Games planned to add different versions of this minigame, including one with Millie, I believe, on the back of a motorcycle. Yeah, that would have been interesting. Anyway, you can see why Rockstar cut this in the end. Deep within the game files, there's coding that actually shows that GTA San Andreas has the ability to support multiple protagonists. And in an interview with Leslie Benzies, which was the former producer of Rockstar North in Edinburgh, he stated that they initially had the idea to add multiple protagonists to GTA San Andreas, but it was only when they realized that the PlayStation 2 hardware could not support this idea that they decided to then shelf the idea and only returned back to that when GTA 5 was coming to production. Originally, the Grove Street families were not supposed to be green. Grove Street families was going to be called Orange Grove families. You can even find graffiti in the game and a tattoo that CJ can get on his back, which still mistakenly say this name. You can see in the beta screenshots that all the homies didn't wear green and they actually wore a variety of black and white clothing. This mod lets you see what it might have looked like if the Orange Grove families were still in the game. We're halfway through the video, but 90% of people that watch my videos are not subscribed. So if you're one of them, I want to see you again in another video. If you like GTA or you love old GTA games, then this is the channel for you. Moving on then to Grand Theft Auto 4. Perhaps the largest beta plan for GTA 4 was the existence of what was called Liberty State. The original drawings, or the first ideas of GTA 4's map, can be seen in this screenshot here. Rather than Liberty City consisting of just 3 islands, it actually looks like the developers originally envisioned a much larger, broader map for GTA 4, one that included countryside, places like Buffalo. It even looks like they were planning on adding the Hamptons as well. But it looks like Rockstar Games opted not to go with this and rather focused more on quality than quantity. It's highly likely that this was an idea they had extremely early before they even planned to bring a Euphoria Rage engine to the game, and when they completely overhauled the physics engine, they realized that that was the route that they wanted to take. I think it was definitely a smart decision, but it's a shame that the hardware at the time wouldn't have allowed them to pull this off, because it would have been seriously impressive. And another thing that was then removed due to the map being reduced in size was planes, because Planes can be found in the game files and the handling files. You can actually find the Dodo, Shimao, and even a military jet called the Fighter, but obviously they are not able to be enabled, even with the use of mods, at least not to the level that Rockstar were planning on. Now, the reason Rockstar Games decided to remove the planes and not feature them, it was actually because of the map being too small. They just found that adding planes meant you could go from one side of the island to the other way too quickly, and it kind of just spoiled the fun. Now, if you've played GTA San Andreas, the likelihood of you playing on the arcade machines or some of the game's consoles is relatively high. Originally, GTA 4 was meant to also feature a video game side activity, which we could do with our friends like Brucey, Roman, and Little Jacob. You can actually hear the audio files that would have existed if this was still in the game.
I'd like to game. You want to join me?
This game was made by idiots. You think you can beat me at video games? This game was made by sick weirdos. It's shit.
I must be doing other stuff. I think we should do some gaming.
But more interestingly, in my opinion, is that Rockstar originally planned to add a zombie survival game mode, or so it seems, very similar to that of Saints Row 2. If you've played Saints Row 2, you'll know that there's a really awesome minigame where you can play a zombie survival mode. And it looks like Rockstar Games were going to add this because there's loads of heads-up display icons and weapon icons that look just like they've come straight out of a zombie survival game mode. Alright then, let's move on to Grand Theft Auto 5. Originally, GTA 5 had a completely cut heist called the Sharmuta Job. It was one of the most unique missions ever planned for the game. The mission would have seen Michael and Trevor rob Martin Madrazo's mansion, stealing a wall-mounted safe and his prized horse. The heist would have come after Qaeda Libra, but instead of going into hiding, Michael would have agreed to Trevor's plan to rob Madrazo as revenge. And you can hear Trevor talking about this preposition in the mission Qaeda Libra. You'd scope out the house by posing as a rich gay couple during a fake real estate tour. Yep, that's actually left over in the game files.
Gap in the floor plan there, behind the wall.
Oh. You're too cute. There's a wall safe back there.
Oh, this I love. It's a symbol of fertility. Albert does most of his entertaining in the bedroom. The rogue.
Okay, cannot wait to see it.
There would have been a few options to approach this heist, with one being nighttime stealth, one being where Trevor and Michael would dress up as mime artists at a child's birthday party, and third of all, a clown approach. Again, approach it daytime during a party, dressed as clowns and cause a distraction with coloured smoke and pull the theft off without anyone noticing. They then would have ridden on horseback to escape from the police.
Riding a brown horse, on a dark-colored horse, on a black horse, riding a white horse.
Another cut detail from GTA 5 is that every protagonist originally had their own unique Mission Past theme tunes. These would have been tailored to their personality and their background. Trevor's theme was aggressive and chaotic, inspired by heavy metal, perfectly reflecting his violent nature. Michael's version sounded something straight out of a classic crime thriller or a sci-fi film. And Franklin's theme, well, yeah, just listen to it and it basically sounds like something out of the hood.
Open your damn eyes.
Speaking of music, there was a radio station cut from the game called Pre-Millennium Radio. Personally, I'm pretty upset about this because it was a 1990s alternative rock station which would have featured grunge music as well. Remnants of the station can still be discovered in the game files, and it potentially featured tracks from iconic bands like Oasis, Faith No More, and Stained, to name a few. Possibly even a Nirvana track or Alice in Chains. So yeah, that is a bummer. That radio station sounds so up my alley, I cannot even begin to explain to you. Now, you might have heard of the GTA 5 story DLCs that never were. GTA 5 was originally set to receive 3 massive single-player DLC expansions, one for each protagonist actually. Unfortunately, all of these were scrapped as Rockstar shifted their focus to GTA Online, redistributing all of the assets for future online DLCs. Trevor's DLC was the most developed and would have turned him into a chaotic agent for basically like a spy thriller. It had casino heists, jetpacks, and even a rocket launch finale, which may sound very familiar to the Doomsday DLC, which many of the assets were then redistributed and used for that. Michael's expansion was a zombie apocalypse scenario featuring his whole family fighting to survive, while Franklin's was planned as an alien invasion, apparently, which involved Mount Chiliad. Apparently dozens of missions, weapons, even a harpoon gun and crossbow were featured in these DLCs. Yeah, it's a huge shame, and it sounds like they would have been just as in-depth as the Ballad of Gay Tony or The Lost and Damned. Once again, GTA Online coming in to ruin the day. I don't know how people still play that bloody game.